afternoon, everybody, from Carbondale, Illinois. It's the Bison Media Blog pregame show. Happy Halloween. Dressed in his best sports writer outfit, Jeff Kolpak joins me. I'm Dom Izzo, going as a average sportscaster on a day where we're out. The man of props, the man of costumes. It just seems weird that Big E is not here with us today.
It does seem empty, doesn't it?
A little bit.
The man, the belt, the myth, the legend had to stay back. Duty calls.
Yes.
Speaking of the weather, on Halloween, I thought we'd be standing in monsoon.
Yeah.
The way the weather forecast was all week.
And it's turned out it's overcast, but there's some rain to the south of where we are. We're not sure if that's going to move this way for a 2 o'clock kickoff, about 2 hours time, as the Bison in Southern Illinois are set to play in what's turning out to be a huge Missouri Valley football game here as we are in with 4 weeks to go already. Hard to believe the 2015 season is almost up. All right, Jeffrey, let's talk. Last time the Bison played on Halloween, I'm going to go into the Bison memory banks for you. It was 2009, a season many Bison fans want to forget. NDSU playing in Macomb, a little ways away from here, beat Western Illinois that day 14-7 behind 2 Pat Paschal touchdowns. Was only their second win of the season. They won one more game after that, and they pretty disastrous 3-8 season.
It was a day kind of like this, only it was raining in Macomb. Yeah. I remember it was cold, dank, dingy. It was just a grind it out, slug it out game. And I thought maybe if the weather, and I picked a slug it out game, I thought it might be raining by now, and so I thought it'd be a low scoring. Now that the weather looks pretty good, we'll see what happens.
Let's talk about Southern Illinois and their 2015 season. They might be the most snake-bit team in all of North America. 3-4 on the season. Their 4 losses by a combined 8 points. This team, and you said this to me on Monday, woulda, shoulda, they could be 6-2. They could be 7-1 the way they played this season.
You get a lot of these teams, if they're 2-5, 2-4, a lot of the opposing coaches will go, well, that's the best 2-4 team I've ever seen, or that's the best 3-5 team I've ever seen. But I think with Southern Illinois, Dom, you could legitimately and statistically back it up because of their 4 losses. The combined margin has been 8 points.
And it started the first game of the season at Indiana. Down 48-47, they decide to go for 2, drop the 2-point conversion in the end zone, or else they start the season with a Big Ten win.
But I think the worst loss of the year was Southeast Missouri. It's a rivalry game down here for Southern Illinois, going over to Southeast Missouri State. 7 turnovers, and that was a game where they had decidedly the talent advantage, just flat out gave it away.
And you see it the next week, you picked them to beat Liberty, and they did here at Saluki Stadium. They handed the Flames a big-time loss. Granted, Liberty's kind of struggled from there, and they kind of got some mojo going. And then finally last week they got over the hump. They beat Youngstown State in overtime. That's a game so far this season they traditionally had lost. And Chris Kleiman told us this on Monday, that you wonder, okay, they prove they can do it. Does it happen here again today?
Yeah, I thought the Liberty game, though, was the difference for Southern Illinois. I watched that game. You saw some explosive players. They got some true freshmen that are making a difference. The Bison kid out of the backfield. NDSU better get a handle on him because he can blow by anybody anytime.
Mark Ionati back again, quarterbacking for SIU. This is a guy we saw last year, and he came into the Bison game, and he was putting up some really good numbers. And this year it's even better. 16 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns. He's been tremendous. It's just weird because when we saw him last year, he was just average at best.
He looked slow to me, too, last year. And I don't know, maybe he got some speed in the offseason. But his numbers are fantastic. He's throwing almost at a 70% completion rate. And when you talk about an offense and 70% completion rate, add in the fact he can run the ball.
Right.
Which, by the way, and we've said it many times on the last 3 weeks, NDSU has had their troubles at times with the running quarterback.
Here's the thing why he's had a 70% completion percentage in my mind. He's only been sacked once in conference play. So there's nobody getting any pressure on him, and that's the thing we'll talk about as the show goes along, because the Bison defensive line may have some injury issues today.
Southern Illinois went a month down without giving up a quarterback sack. Lead the country, obviously, in that statistic. NDSU in the past has gotten to SIU quarterbacks, well, because you had a guy named Emmanuel, Jury, Levon Perry, Drevlo. You had guys who can just flat out get to the quarterback. Now, we'll get to this in the injury section. If Greg Menard does not play, and he is NDSU's best pass rusher by far so far this season, there's issues there.
Well, let's talk about that real briefly here before we wrap up our first segment, because if he can't go, Menard's only a sophomore, and he hasn't played a ton, but we're talking really inexperience after that. That's Stanley Jones, a redshirt freshman, and Caleb Butler, a walk-on redshirt freshman.
Is there anything you can do? I mean, they toyed with Levi Jordan at defensive end. I mean, or Chris Bard, you throw the safety back in there.
What do you think? You threw that on the radio. What makes you think that?
God, he's so good against the run. He's so good against the run. Levi Jordan, looks the part too, but he's young, hasn't played. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, that's the real dilemma for NDSU heading into this game. Menard has been tremendous. Obviously, the 3-sack game against South Dakota State. He left the game early last week against Indiana State. But then Caleb Butler came in, and you wrote about him. We did a story on TV about this guy who's Nate Tangway told us he's the strongest guy maybe on the team. He's got that, and this is maybe the inheriting now the fastest guy on the team. Now we've got the strongest guy on the team. But great wrestling background, had a walk-on offer from Minnesota to wrestle, and that's not a chump program to go wrestle with the Gophers.
Also in football, Jerry Kill, they talked to him. They wanted to give him a shot. They saw something, I think, with his strength on tape, and he just had to develop physically. He's been here a year, went through the old redshirt obscurity, and had a good spring game, by the way.
He really did.
He showed up there a little bit, and all of a sudden here he shows up last week. And they threw him out there, I think, just for the idea of a couple plays. And guess what? He makes a play.
It worked out.
And they kept him out there. And they kept him out there. And he's a little quirky, I think, but he's got that strength.
I want to ask you before we go here, second consecutive road game. Advantages, disadvantages for NDSU playing again on the road this week?
I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, these kids are young. Where does it say that every other game has to be on the road? Yeah. Look at Northern Iowa. 4 out of the first 5
on the road.
And there's a lot of teams that go through that. I think if that's an issue, that's an excuse.
Later in the show, we'll talk about Easton Stick making his second career start. What is Southern Illinois going to do to defend the run game that was so effective for the Bison last week? Also, Jeff Kolpak goes off on the Bison running backs because, again, they have still not had a 100-yard rushing game. Easton Stick was the first 100-yard rusher of the season. NDSU's running backs have not done that. We'll also talk injuries and the Saturday selections. I'm not sure if you're picking for 2 guys with Big E not here today.
That's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I can do that.
That's all coming up. The Bison Media Blog pregame show live from Carbondale. Back after this.
More plays. More coverage. More sports. Stay ahead of the game. Get your sports fix with Sports Sunday. Sunday nights at 10:35. Sports Sunday is brought to you by Nelson Auto Center in Fergus Falls.
This is your livelihood, and success requires a seed partner that's just as committed as you are. Just like you, we're farmers first, so our values are rooted just as deep and our goals are just as strong. Our team is ready to hit your fields, so no matter what each growing season brings, we'll get through it together. It's who we are. Thunderseed, first in the field.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Peterson Farm Seed presents Ag Week TV every weekend. Ag News expert Shauna Olson, trusted meteorologist John Wheeler, and the expertise of the entire Ag Week staff will bring you the latest in ag news, lifestyle, experts, tech, and trends.
If it's important news to you, it's important news to us at Ag Week TV.
Ag Week TV, delivering the complete ag picture every weekend.
Welcome back, everybody, live on the Bison Media Blog pregame show from Carbondale as we get set for North Dakota State and Southern Illinois in a big-time Missouri Valley Football Conference game later today. We're joined, our host for the tailgate show here, Tony Ambrose, who, our nerd stat, he hosted us for the spring game in 2014 when we did our radio show and our pregame show out there. I'm not going to hold it against him, Jeff. He's a Cardinals fan. He's been talking smack to me all season long, but there's only one National League team still playing. It's not the St. Louis team. I just want to throw that out there.
Well, that's also not the Chicago team.
It's not.
So I'm good with
all
that.
Right. Well, there we go. Now, you're originally from this area, right?
St. Charles is a northwest suburb of St. Louis.
Okay.
And grew up there and moved to North Dakota after I got done with college.
Now, why did you hop on the Bison fan bandwagon?
Well,
then?
my first job in North Dakota was being in charge of the football dorm at SIU. So my first day on the job, there's Rocky Hager sitting on my couch saying, "Hey, I'm Rocky Hager." I said, "Hey, I'm Tony Ambrose." I have no idea who this guy is, right? So it went from there. He informed me that I would be a Bison fan, and he was correct.
So you go way back. You have a little history here, Rocky Hager, and now.
Just a little.
So why follow this team? Why after school? What's the attraction?
What's the attraction for the Bison? Yeah. Well, you know what? Part of it is just the family atmosphere at tailgates and at games, and when you've got the whole football team in the dorm that you're managing, that kind of helps get you started. And then once I moved out, just kind of snowballed from there. My wife is from Lisbon, North Dakota.
Okay.
Two-time NDSU graduate, so that kind of took care of that.
Now, have you made the trips of all the Valley schools or just a select few?
The one I have not been to yet in all of my travels is Youngstown.
Okay.
But all of the rest of them, I am a fan of Macomb. I have been to Terre Haute.
Okay.
Certainly Carbondale, and I will say that this stadium is
really nice.
1,000 times nicer than the old one.
Yes.
Maybe 1,000,000.
Yeah.
But, I've been to all of them except for Youngstown.
Okay. So, Don, we've been to a lot of out-of-town games, and we see a lot of Valley teams come to Fargo. You never see anything like this.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of people, a lot of Bison fans. The smell, by the way, is just driving me.
Yeah,
the
crazy.
Barbecue is just unbelievable. Can't wait to taste. This is a tough job.
Yes, the toasted raviolis are calling
what are
your
these?
name.
Is this your specialty?
This is not my specialty. It's a St. Louis thing. It's a toasted ravioli.
Okay.
This is an invention from the Hill in St. Louis. The Hill is an Italian neighborhood just south of downtown and a little bit west. It's where Joe Gragioli grew up.
Yeah.
It's where
that's right.
Yogi Berra
as
grew
well.
up there.
I was about to say,
So basically, this is a beef ravioli, deep fat fried and breaded.
How you doing there?
Absolutely fantastic.
I will, Dirk. You can't talk anyway.
There you go.
Now, is this all family, friends? Are these guys and are these people you normally tailgate with in Fargo?
A lot of them, yeah. But a lot of them are here just visiting because my mom and dad live down here in St. Louis still, and I've got some friends here from St. Louis. My sister actually lives a little bit north of Carbondale.
Okay.
Her husband's a Saluki fan. We apologize for that. He's around here somewhere. But yeah, it's just kind of a family gathering.
Nice.
And yes, a lot of these folks we tailgate with either on the road when we're out or are in Fargo, and it's just a blast.
Now you're welcome to come to Youngstown because that's in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, let me work on that.
I want to ask you have to speak now for the Bison fans about how this season has gone for you guys for watching this team, because for us it's a week-to-week thing. We're not quite sure to expect. What's it been like you have to speak for the fan base now. What's it been like there?
Wow, that's some responsibility there, Dom. I'm going to take a little bit of a duckies and bunnies approach and say it's been a lot of fun this year, somewhat because you don't know what's coming, right? The Bison could show up like they did against South Dakota State, where they could do no wrong, and 12,000 or 16,000 people down there. Well, 12,000 of the 16,000 were kind of just like, what? They could show up like they did in Montana, where they played a good game, but you know what? There's a couple things that they need to work on. Certainly the South Dakota game is one thing. But last week they looked pretty good. Yeah. So the bottom line is, I think from my perspective, the talent is there on the team. And, it's just a matter of putting it all together, but there's some inconsistency. And, for me as a fan, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I fully expect them to beat the malnourished dogs today. But having said that, they might not.
Right.
But it's so that just motivates me as a fan to make sure that in the front row I'm vocalizing.
I think it brings up your point, which you made on the video blog. They're mortal. They're a mortal team where they've seemed immortal the last couple years. They've now become, and Todd Heverman said it in his column, they're allowing some touchdowns this season.
Oh, no, you got to be kidding. Sometimes you just need a market correction. I mean, you had 26 seniors 2 years ago, 17 seniors last year. That's a lot of talent to leave. At some point, you're going to get young, and they're just a young team. It's a young team, and you just said it. Inconsistency. Was that Batman?
Batman stuff. It's Halloween. You never know what to expect on a show like today.
I have no idea what's going on.
Now, for a normal tailgate, is this the normal setup at home in Fargo as well, or even bigger?
We got a few more spots in Fargo.
Yeah.
But, for road games, when we have the trailer, this is it. We had a similar spread down in South Dakota State. And whenever we can, we're going to put on a show.
What else is on the menu today?
We've got bratwurst from a small meat shop in South St. Louis. It's the same one that Anheuser-Busch uses in their theme park in St. Louis. Yep. So there's those, and then there's also another local specialty here from a small meat shop in Heron, Illinois, Louis. And they make a special Italian sausage. It's called salamite, and it's kind of a garlicky Italian sausage. And I'm not even going to describe it because I'm going to go have one after we're done.
Can you save some, perhaps?
I don't think
Are you begging for something?
I'm positive you're not going to make it inside the game. I know that for a fact.
I can tell you that the salamites were custom made, and they're 11 inches long.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm fairly certain we're not going to go through all of them. So, yes, we will absolutely save you one, and good go.
We always appreciate the shout-out.
Hey,
thanks for the invite last night. This is fantastic.
Anytime.
All right? Tony Ambrose hosting
Tony.
us today here. The Horny Bison is officially the tailgate crew here that's hosting us in Carbondale. We come back, how Easton Stick, how he'll do here today against Southern Illinois as the Bison Media Blog pregame show continues live from Carbondale.
For over 60 years, our focus has been you. A growing community needs a news source that grows with them. And you found that source in WDAY.
Good evening, everyone.
Our 6 p.m. newscast has been with you night after night. When the city comes to life or when news happens, you'll know. Dana Mock, Kirsten Keeley, out in the community, behind the desk.
This had no major issues with users viewing offensive materials.
2 anchors you can trust. When the news hits, there's only one source to turn to. WDAY, the news leader.
Peterson Farm Seed presents Ag Week TV every weekend. Ag News expert Shauna Olson, trusted meteorologist John Wheeler, and the expertise of the entire Ag Week staff will bring you the latest in ag news, lifestyle, experts, tech, and trends.
If it's important news to you, it's important news to us at Ag Week TV.
Ag Week TV, delivering the complete ag picture every weekend.
Say goodbye to expensive window treatments and Saturdays filled with dusting. Minn Kota Windows offers blinds between the glass and select window styles and sliding patio doors. With low E glass, they're even more energy efficient. They're easy to operate, have a clean, efficient look, and control privacy, light, and heat. And the best part is, they're safe for kids and pets. Blinds between the glass from Minn Kota Windows. Midwest built, Midwest tough, guaranteed for life.
Minn Kota Windows, windows for your world.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? Ag Week Magazine. Reaching over 30,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. Ag Week provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. Ag Week. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
Welcome back, everybody, live here in Carbondale. Kolpak, get the food out of your mouth here. We got to be back live on the air here in Carbondale as NDSU and Southern Illinois, 2 o'clock kickoff. Of course, Kolpak and Mike McFeely will be live blogging. We'll have highlights and reaction on WDAY coming up after the game as NDSU goes for a 6 win, trying to go to 6-2 and improve to 4-1 in league play. We get to see Easton Stick for the second time starting at quarterback. Boy, last week could not have went any better in terms of how he played. 3 combined touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 passing. My first question is there any way he can duplicate that today?
Well, he's going to have to beat Southern Illinois. He's got to do the job a little better through the air. I mean, we saw what he can do for as far as a running attack. You know, I saw Randy Hedberg earlier this week, the Bison quarterbacks coach, and he kind of alluded to, okay, there's something on film now for Southern Illinois, and he basically hinted, you wonder what they're going to do. What can Southern Illinois do to adjust to his running game? He has that nice gear. I mean, when Easton Stick gets in the open,
he's fast. He's
fast.
Way faster than I thought, and Indiana State found that out the hard way last week.
And those are the things you never see in recruiting. Okay, I mean, you hear about their stats and you see the film, you see the huddle
numbers,
film, but to see what he can do in person, you don't get a really sense of the speed until you see it in person.
I have a feeling that Southern Illinois is going to say, okay, we're not going to let you beat you on the ground. You're going to have to beat us through the air. And now, not knowing what the weather might be, it's okay right now. We're still an hour and a half away from kickoff. I'm curious to see how that does. SIU has been totally susceptible on defense. Rushing or passing, everybody has scored out of this season.
They have, and again, part of it's because they run so many plays.
That's true.
The defense,
but they're still giving up these points.
Giving up a lot of points. I'm still looking for a Bison running back to really
That's
take
our next
control.
topic, yeah.
I'm really, see if that would help really take a little pressure off Easton Stick. Now you said, what can SIU do to probably stop the run? Well, nobody really stopped Brock Jensen.
No.
Nobody really. You can try all these different things, but if you execute, if at the point of attack your offensive line, is doing the job, it's still a tough deal. You could, even if you threw all 11 at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I mean.
Here we are. This is the 8th game of the season for the Bison today. The leading rusher is King Frazier at 406 yards. I mean, I don't think I ever would have thought that in a million years.
And this is a program that's put a couple guys over 1,000 years, almost on a yearly basis. So, they're waiting for that guy, I think, to make the last guy miss. And that's what we saw last week at the Easton Stick at Indiana State. He'd get in the secondary, and boom, he'd make that last guy miss. He did on the touchdown run, and he did on that broken play.
Right.
When he, bobbled snap, took it around, boom,
and
he was gone through that hole that was almost manufactured. I'm waiting for a Bison running back. They've been hurt. Chase Morlock's been hurt. Bruce Anderson's been hurt.
Lance Dunn's
been hurt. So, you can't say that it's just been this healthy thing and ineffective. And, there's probably a reason, but at some point, somebody's got to take control.
That's the curious thing of who's going to be. Bruce Anderson had some explosiveness last week, but then he had a rib injury, and we're not quite sure about his status for today.
We don't know. We don't know what his status is going to be today. I suppose it's a game-time decision like you hear a lot of times. Lance Dunn, when you hurt a groin, or hamstring. When you hurt a hamstring, you just really don't know, is it
how long
effective?
it takes to get healthy again.
Yeah, is it rest? Do you need total rest? That's one of those issues.
And we've been told that on Chase Morlock. Morlock actually needs to be not playing, not do anything, but NDSU's not in a position to have him out of the lineup right now.
Chase Morlock at Montana, that Chase Morlock in Weber State, when he was running
UND,
away from people.
Right. We haven't
hurt
seen
at
that.
UND. We have not seen that.
And that was explosive because nobody could stop that. That Swiss Army knife, as Biggie likes to say, position. Nobody could stop that. Against Weber State, he was unstoppable in that game.
What are the odds you think of seeing a middle screen today?
I think pretty high, considering that SIU has been completely susceptible against that. They gave a big one last week against Youngstown State. I think they'll probably bring that out again because they have not been shown the ability to stop that play.
And that's been a play that's been so effective for NDSU over the years. That's one play where King Frazier has really been good at. He's been like the next DJ McNorton on that play.
When we come discuss injuries on the Bison front, we've hit it in a little bit. We'll get you an update on that. And also, Kolpak's got his Saturday selection. He wants to keep beating. We'll have our Saturday selections coming up as the Bison Media Blog pregame show continues live from Carbondale.
This is your livelihood, and success requires a seed partner that's just as committed as you are. Just like you, we're farmers first, so our values are rooted just as deep and our goals are just as strong. Our team is ready to hit your fields. So no matter what each growing season brings, we'll get through it together. It's who we are. Thunderseed, first in the field.
Peterson Farm Seed presents Ag Week TV every weekend. Ag News expert Shauna Olson, trusted meteorologist John Wheeler, and the expertise of the entire Ag Week staff will bring you the latest in ag news, lifestyle, experts, tech, and trends.
If it's important news to you, it's important news to us at Ag Week TV.
Ag Week TV, delivering the complete ag picture every weekend.
More plays. More coverage. More sports. Stay ahead of the game. Get your sports fix with Sports Sunday. Sunday nights at 10:35. Sports Sunday is brought to you by Nelson Auto Center in Fergus Falls.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit, and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
The Media Blog Injury Report, brought to you by Sanford Orthopedics.
Everybody live here on the Bison Media Blog pregame show. Our selections are still to come. First, our Sanford Health injury update status. We'll start right with the sophomore defensive end, Greg Menard, who left the game last Saturday with a groin injury. His status either questionable to maybe out for today's game.
You know, when it happened, it didn't look that bad. He was riding a stationary bike at halftime in Indiana State, so you thought maybe he'd get back into the game, but you never know about those things.
How big a deal is it if he can't play?
That's really big because that's a position, especially against an SIU attack that's so multi, that you need that guy. He's fast. You know, he's fast. He could track people down.
Bruce Anderson, we just mentioned, dealing with a rib injury. Also, game time decision. We're not sure if he plays today.
We're not sure at all, and I think, you know, what's his pain tolerance, I guess? I don't know how to really describe that.
I know he was getting a lot of attention last Saturday during the football game when they took the pads off, looking at the ribs. We'll see if he can't go. That's another big blow to the Bison rushing attack, which needs to get on, as Jeff mentioned. They need to get on track today. Also, Lance Dunn, we should throw in there, battling still with a hamstring. Chris Kleiman said he's getting a little bit closer to being back to 100%.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good north and south.
He showed a little bit of that last week, too.
And I think he's the most explosive back as far as speed.
You'd like to see that. We saw it in the spring game. It was Easton Stick and Lance Dunn. Remember we talked about that, that was the future of the Bison. If they can get going today, boy, they could really help NDSU get a road win. We'll take our last break. We come back. Time for our Saturday selections. We'll go around the Missouri Valley and pick today's game as well. That's back next, live from Carbondale.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit, and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Say goodbye to expensive window treatments and Saturdays filled with dusting. Minn Kota Windows offers blinds between the glass and select window styles and sliding patio doors. With low E glass, they're even more energy efficient. They're easy to operate, have a clean, efficient look, and control privacy, light, and heat. And the best part is, they're safe for kids and pets. Blinds between the glass from Minn Kota Windows. Midwest built, Midwest tough, guaranteed for life.
Minn Kota Windows, windows for your world.
Peterson Farm Seed presents Ag Week TV every weekend. Ag News expert Shauna Olson, trusted meteorologist John Wheeler, and the expertise of the entire Ag Week staff will bring you the latest in ag news, lifestyle, experts, tech, and trends.
If it's important news to you, it's important news to us at Ag Week TV.
Ag Week TV, delivering the complete ag picture every weekend.
For over 60 years, our focus has been you. A growing community needs a news source that grows with them. And you found that source in WDAY.
Good evening, everyone.
Our 6 p.m. newscast has been with you night after night. When the city comes to life or when news happens, you'll know. Dana Mock, Kirsten Keeley, out in the community, behind the desk.
This had no major issues with users viewing offensive materials.
2 anchors you can trust. When the news hits, there's only one source to turn to. WDAY, the news leader.
Welcome back, everybody. Time for our Saturday selections. I know everybody is waiting for Fargo Big E maybe to parachute in. He's not coming. He's not in Hong Kong. He'll be back with us, I think, next week when we're back at the Fargo Dome. We've got a great day of games going on today. Indiana State, Illinois State's already underway. We're both on the Redbirds to win that game. South Dakota State is playing in Springfield against Missouri State. We're both on the Jacks to win big there today.
I'm interested to see if South Dakota State's 2 quarterback system, if they're going to continue that, or if Taryn Christian, the true freshman, will take over. You got Zach Lujan. I don't like a 2 quarterback system. I just don't.
It's not working for Jake Winicky either after the unbelievable start to the season. He certainly came back down to earth. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. USD at UNI is a huge game today. 1 o'clock kickoff in Cedar Falls.
Maybe if this is indeed Joe Glenn's last year at the Coyotes, will send him
going
out
with a bang here.
This is a game where they could do it. You know, Northern Iowa though, came back, I thought, with a big win last week at SDSU.
You got Northern Iowa here?
I got Northern Iowa at home. I think their defense is just too good.
Youngstown State up the road playing in Macomb against Western Illinois. This is a must-win game for Bo Pelini's boys.
Boy, after 4 games, Youngstown was looking really tough in this conference, and all of a sudden 3 straight losses. is correct. What's happened there? I don't know. This is their one. They're in a winter.
They have to win.
Winter done.
Yep.
I mean, they have to run the table to get this done.
And for Western Illinois, they have no really room for error. They're 4-3. They have to win today before they come to Fargo next week. I've got Western Illinois. You're taking Youngstown today.
Yeah, but I'm losing confidence in my pick, but I'm still going to. I picked them last week, and they let me down.
All right, on to the game of the day here. North Dakota State and SIU. The Bison have won 5 straight games against the Salukis. The last time SIU won in this matchup, they went to the playoffs. They have to win today to keep their playoff hopes alive. I just think their defense has been really porous. I think the Bison ground game finally has its first really good game of the season, and I think they score some points today. I have the Bison winning 30-20.
30-20.
I do.
Okay, that's pretty good. Trademark of Dale Lennon over the years has been the what?
The visor.
The visor.
Yes.
Do you know how hard it is to find a visor anywhere these days? Who wears these anymore?
I don't remember. He wore it backwards a couple years ago.
He tried that. It didn't work. And this is a Miami Hurricane.
Wow, look at that. Is that out of the Big East collection?
It is. So, I mean, I cannot possibly go with a guy who wears something from the 80s. Yeah. Dale's got to tech. He's already teched up with his offense. Now this has got to go.
Okay.
Dale, this has got no more visors. Get a real hat. Until you do, I'm not picking your team. I thought the weather would be worse, actually, looking at the forecast.
Yep.
I thought this was going to be a rain game, a slug it out, 17. I had NDSU 17-14. With the nicer weather, I think the score is going to go up. But I still think the ball control, the team that leads the country in time of possession is going to win this game.
You got the Bison then?
I got the Bison. I like to up the score if I could.
Go ahead.
But I'll go 24-17.
There you have it, folks. Live blog starts in half an hour on Inforum.com and WDAY.com. Then we're back post-game, complete highlights and reaction. You can check it out on Channel 6. And then Jeff, Mike, and I to break things down as the Bison try to get to 6-2 as they take on Southern Illinois. Our thanks to Tony Ambrose for hosting us today and for the great food. We'll see you guys after the game.